Your Honor, members of the jury, the evidence clearly shows my client's innocence. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, the evidence clearly shows my client's innocence in this matter.
The defendant who dismantled the system. Judge Walter Grayson thought it would be just another routine case, a troubled teen caught stealing a car, nothing more. The kind of case he could wrap up before his 2 p.m. golf game, but the moment the defendant opened his mouth, everything changed. Inside the Los Angeles County Courthouse, the air was heavy, almost suffocating. The gallery was packed, rows of spectators whispering, waiting to see how the case would unfold. At the defense table stood a 19-year-old, too young, too quiet, hands in his pockets, chin raised just enough to show he wasn't afraid, Jalen Dawson, charged with grand theft auto and resisting arrest. Serious charges. But Judge Grayson's expression made it clear. This wasn't just about the law. It was about control, about perception, about power. The judge leaned back in his chair, fingers drumming against the polished wood. "You think you're some kind of legal expert?" he said, dry amusement in his voice. "This isn't debate club, kid." The courtroom chuckled. The bailiff, the stenographer, even the prosecutor. Everyone was in on the joke, except Jalen. He didn't flinch. Didn't smile. Didn't blink, because he wasn't here to be funny. He was here to be heard. The prosecutor's confidence, Mitchell Carrington, the prosecutor, rose from his seat like a man who had already won. Perfect tie, crisp suit, voice full of the practiced swagger that comes from winning easy cases. "Your Honor, the state will prove beyond a shadow of a doubt that the defendant, Jalen Dawson, was caught red-handed in a stolen 2022 Audi A6. His fingerprints were on the steering wheel. He fled the scene. Officers apprehended him shortly after." To the average ear, the case sounded airtight, but Jalen had spent years studying trials. While other teens memorized basketball stats, he memorized case law. While his friends played video games, he debated with himself in his room, pretending to be both the defense and prosecution. His mother, Denise Dawson, a paralegal for over 2 decades, unknowingly trained him. Through stories of corrupt prosecutors, lazy defenders, and biased judges, she taught him how the system worked and how it didn't. By 14, Jalen could break down a trial better than most first-year law students, and today, all of that knowledge would be put to the test. The shift. "Let's hear the defense," Judge Grayson said with a sigh. His court-appointed attorney, Lisa Thornton, stood up nervously. "Your Honor, my client..." Jalen gently touched her arm. "I'll be representing myself." A beat of stunned silence followed. Then laughter. Carrington even chuckled, but the laughter didn't last. Because when Jalen took his first step forward, the room shifted. The first crack. "Before I begin," Jalen said calmly, "I'd like to confirm something with the prosecution." Carrington crossed his arms. "Go ahead. You said Officer Daniel Ruiz personally saw me behind the wheel. That's in his report?" "That's correct." Jalen turned to the judge. "Your Honor, I move to dismiss that testimony." Grayson raised an eyebrow. "On what grounds?" "Because Officer Ruiz wasn't even on duty when the chase began. He didn't witness anything firsthand. If the court permits, I'd like to submit a request for his GPS logs." "I believe they'll prove he wasn't at the scene." Carrington flinched, a hesitation the jury noticed. The judge turned toward him. "Does the prosecution object?" A long pause. "No objections, Your Honor." And just like that, the courtroom wasn't laughing anymore. The fingerprint trap Carrington scrambled to regain control. Regardless, the defendant's fingerprints were found on the steering wheel. Jalen nodded. "That's true. But let's talk about what that really means." He addressed the jury. "If you try on a jacket at a department store, put your hands in the pockets, then leave, and someone else steals it later, should you be arrested because your fingerprints are on it?" He let the silence do the work. The Audi in question was parked outside a 7-Eleven hours before it was stolen. I was there. With friends. I leaned on the car. The door was unlocked. I opened it out of curiosity. I didn't steal it. I didn't drive it. I didn't even sit inside. Does touching something make you a criminal? Some jurors exchanged glances. Jalen wasn't finished. Your Honor, was the forensic specialist subpoenaed to testify? Grayson blinked. No? No chance to cross-examine? No chain of custody? No explanation of how the prints were collected? Silence. The cracks were spreading fast. The missing statement. Jalen stepped forward again. I'd like to enter into evidence an official statement from the vehicle's owner. Raymond Whitaker. Grayson frowned. Go on. Jalen read directly from the transcript. I left my car running when I ran inside the gas station. Some kid must have jumped in and taken off. But it wasn't the guy you arrested. The kid I saw was white. Gasps filled the room. The original police report includes this, Jalen said. But the prosecution left it out. He turned back to the judge. I was arrested blocks away, walking home with snacks. The real thief? He got away. They found a black kid nearby and decided that was close enough. The turning point Grayson leaned forward, his arrogance fading. Does the prosecution have anything further? Carrington's face was pale, his voice hollow. No, Your Honor, Grayson sighed. He looked at Jalen, then at the jury. Case dismissed. Chaos erupted. Aftermath. Outside the courthouse, cameras flashed. Reporters swarmed. Jalen, how did you know about the GPS logs? Did you study law? What are you going to do next? Jalen didn't answer. He pulled his hoodie over his head and walked down the steps. His mother stood waiting, arms crossed. You scared me half to death, she said. He smiled. Had to take a risk, Ma. She pulled him into a hug. Across the street, Judge Grayson stood silently watching. There was something new in his eyes, recognition, and maybe regret. He hadn't expected a challenge today. Just another easy conviction. But now he knew. He'd remember Jalen Dawson for the rest of his career. Because Jalen didn't just defend himself. He made the system look in the mirror. And for once, it blinked first. The lesson. How many others have been locked up not because they were guilty, but because they didn't know how to fight back? Jalen did. But what about the ones who don't? This story isn't just about one teen who beat the odds. It's about a system that needs accountability. A system that needs to change.